What if the worst thing that ever happened to you wasn't what you thought it was? There's a story my mother used to tell me. No heroes, no lesson, just a man and a horse. The first time I heard it, I didn't understand. It wasn't clear who won or who lost. There was no villain to defeat, no problem to solve, just events happening. But the older I got, the more it made sense, because life started making less sense. Plans fell apart. Good things turned complicated. Bad things led to better things. And this story didn't try to fix that. It didn't promise everything happens for a reason. It taught me something else. To stop assuming I know what anything means. To stop rushing to write the ending while I'm still in the middle of the story. The story is from ancient China. It's called Seongjima, the old man's horse. There once was an old man who lived near the border. One day, his horse ran away. His neighbors came by and said, "That's terrible. You've lost your most valuable possession." He replied, "Maybe." Days later, the horse came back, bringing a herd of wild horses with it. Now the old man had more horses than anyone in the village. The neighbors cheered, "That's amazing. You're the richest man here now." He said again, "Maybe." His son was excited by the new horses and decided to try riding one of the wild ones. The horse bucked, threw him off, and he broke his leg badly. The neighbors cried, "How tragic. Your only son is crippled. Who will help you with the farm?" "Maybe," said the old man. Weeks passed. Then war broke out between the kingdoms. Soldiers came to the village, drafting every able-bodied young man to fight. They took all the sons, except his. Because of the broken leg, he couldn't serve. And now the neighbors said, "You're so lucky. Your son gets to stay home while ours march off to die." And still, he said, "Maybe." That's it. That's the whole story. No resolution, no clear moral. Just one man refusing to rush to judgment about what any of it meant. Most people hear this and smile politely. Nice story, they think, but they don't really sit with it. We live in a culture obsessed with certainty, with instant analysis, with hot takes and immediate reactions, success, failure, good, bad, win, loss. We rush to label every moment, every setback, every victory. We treat life like a sports game, where the score is always visible and the meaning is always clear. We lose a job. It's a failure. Our identity takes a hit. We start the narrative. I'm behind. I'm not good enough. This is proof I'll never succeed. We get dumped. Tragedy. I'm unlovable. I'll never find anyone. I wasted all that time. We land a promotion. Victory. I'm winning. I'm successful. This validates everything. But how many times have you celebrated something, only to realize months later it cost you more than it gave? The job that looked perfect but burned you out. The relationship that seemed ideal but kept you from growing. Or how many times have you grieved something that quietly redirected your life for the better? The rejection that led to a better opportunity. The breakup that taught you what you actually needed. We judge too early and too loudly, and we suffer for it. The philosopher Epictetus, who understood suffering because he lived it, he was a slave for much of his life, said something that echoes the old man's wisdom. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Think about that. The event is neutral. the story you tell about the event, that's where the pain lives. And still, most people live inside their judgment. They don't see the thing that happened. They see their interpretation of the thing, their fear about what it means, their assumption about what comes next. Pain becomes a verdict about their worth. Success becomes their entire identity. Failure becomes proof of some fundamental flaw. But the old man in the story, he kept his grip soft, not passive, not indifferent, not pretending nothing mattered, just honest enough to say, I don't know yet. I don't know what this means. I don't know where this leads. Maybe. We're trained to react immediately, to form opinions in real time, to declare how we feel about everything the moment it happens. Social media rewards this. News cycles demand it. Even therapy culture sometimes pushes us to process everything immediately, to have an insight about every experience. But maybe wisdom isn't knowing how to feel about everything. Maybe it's knowing when not to feel anything definitive yet. The Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius, who had to make life and death decisions daily, once wrote, "Time is like a river. What is in flow is already gone, and what comes next cannot be held." So why cling so tightly to the moment you're in? Why define it so completely when it hasn't even finished unfolding? Why write the final chapter when you're still in scene one? Think about a time you were devastated. Really sit with it for a moment. The heartbreak that felt like it would never end. The opportunity that vanished and left you feeling worthless. The silence that followed some loss when the future felt blank and impossible. At the time, it felt like collapse, like proof that something was fundamentally wrong with you or your life. But what did it become? Who did it make you? What did it clear space for? Maybe that heartbreak taught you what you actually needed from love. Maybe that lost opportunity forced you to discover something about yourself you never would have found otherwise. Maybe that silence was the pause you needed to finally hear your own voice. This doesn't mean everything happens for a reason. That's spiritual bypassing, and it's not what the old man was teaching. It means most things don't reveal their meaning immediately. Meaning often has a time delay, sometimes years, sometimes decades. Wisdom lives in that delay, in the space between what happens and what it means. Even Nietzsche, who rarely sounds gentle about anything, understood this principle. He believed in something called amor fati, the love of fate, not just accepting what happens, but embracing it because it happened. Not because it's good, but because it's real, because it's yours. To say yes to life, he wrote, even in its strangest, harshest moments. That's not denial. That's not toxic positivity. That's endurance turned into perspective. And that's the energy behind the old man's quiet maybe. He wasn't avoiding pain or pretending everything was fine. He was refusing to confuse a single moment, even a significant one, for the full meaning of his life. He understood that stories take time to reveal themselves, that chapters don't make sense until you can see the whole book. The truth is, we don't know what anything means until long after it's happened. And sometimes, we never fully know. The job you didn't get that led to the job where you met your spouse. The illness that forced you to slow down and reconnect with what actually mattered. The mistake that taught you a lesson you couldn't have learned any other way, or even the reverse. The success that led to isolation. The relationship that kept you small. The opportunity that took you away from your real path. Most of life's meaning is retrospective. It emerges over time, like a photograph developing in a darkroom. And that's not failure. That's freedom. Because it gives you permission to stop narrating your pain in real time, to stop chasing closure the same day the door closed, to stop pretending every up or down has to be named and categorized right now. So when something happens, and it will, pause. When you lose something, when you win something, when life turns sideways or hands you something too heavy to understand, pause. Instead of asking, "Why me?" or "What does this mean?" ask a different question. Is this the end of the story, or just the first scene in something I don't understand yet? You don't need to call it good. You don't need to call it bad. You don't need to have an opinion about it at all. You can say what the old man said, maybe. Maybe this is terrible. Maybe this is wonderful. Maybe this is exactly what needed to happen. Maybe it's completely random. Maybe it's the worst thing that could happen to you. Maybe it's the best. Maybe you'll understand it in a year. Maybe in 10 years. Maybe never. And all of that is okay. In a world that demands instant analysis and immediate emotional reactions, maybe might be the gentlest, strongest form of wisdom we still have. It's not giving up. It's not being passive. It's staying present with what is, without needing to know what it means. That's the signal within, the quiet voice that says, you don't have to figure this out right now. Sometimes the wisest thing you can say is, maybe.